Hi, my name is I Exist. I'm 26 years old. I am a virgin. I still live with mommy and daddy. I don't drive because I'm too afraid to. I've never dated before. Uh, I'm just kind of a big loser.
A while back, I mentioned that there was this trend I call the loser meta, where people farm pity and hundreds of thousands to millions of views by talking about how miserable their lives are. Initially, I was quite sympathetic to these people, but the more I watch the I'm 35 and never had a girlfriend videos, and the more I see these people failing to make any noticeable improvements despite months or years passing by, the less I care.
I'm also a big loser because I'm a leech. I live with my parents still. They pay the bills. I pay my rent, but it's not very much. I don't know what I want with my future. I do know I want to travel the world, but I don't see how that's ever going to be possible when I have crippling anxiety.
Okay, so give up then. I guess there's nothing you can do. And I know that sounds kind of mean, but when you listen to enough of these people talk, it is blatantly obvious to pretty much everyone why they aren't doing well, oftentimes even by their own admission, yet they still do nothing about it. I believe most people's problems are less hard to figure out than they think. Like, does anyone have trouble identifying the specific reasons for why this girl here is having trouble staying in a relationship?
I get intense attractions towards very emotionally unavailable people. In the past, the only people that I've had crushes on are either people that did not want me back or people that did not have the capacity to hold the intensity of the love that I am able to give.
Right. You love intensely and guys just can't handle it. Good God, look at that Instagram. So this is one of those blind leading the blind channels like the Wizard Liz.
I'm very, very emotional. And when I love intensely, right? And I don't numb my emotions. Like, I'll cry in front of anyone. I don't give a shit, right? I feel the depth of all of my emotions and I do not numb them, which means I feel love to its intensity. And so I always get attracted to emotionally unavailable people, and I've never been in a relationship.
I don't even think she believes her own bullshit, so allow me to translate. When she says, I love intensely, she means that she is incredibly needy and won't give the guy she's with any space or any time away from her. And when she says, I will cry in front of anyone and I feel my emotions fully, she means that she is an emotional train wreck who will trauma dump onto strangers because she has no impulse control. This is why guys she likes who have options don't want to date her, and why she can only attract guys that she doesn't want. So there are people like her who have problems that are obvious, but instead of working on them, they create delusions to protect their ego. Or there are people who have a really sad fall off like Amanda Bynes. I mean, it's hard to even believe that this is the same person. And there are a lot of people like this 27-year-old girl who goes by I Exist, which sounds depressing, who never really tried in the first place.
I feel like a loser because I've never dated. I had little online boyfriends and that's it, never in real life. I spend way too many hours on the internet. I just watch YouTube videos. I just want to be in the comfort of my bedroom. And yes, my bedroom is my favorite place in the whole world.
You can hear the strong lack of willingness to do really anything outside of sit around all day on the internet. And she only does online relationships, which aren't really difficult to initiate and don't carry much responsibility, so she can use them to get the attention that she wants without real commitment to a person. The only problem is that online relationships aren't real, so you don't get any actual fulfillment from them. Like I said, when I started watching these kinds of videos 2 years ago, initially I was sympathetic, but after revisiting some of these people and after wasting a lot of my spare time trying to help a couple of these channels out, it seems like most of these people are losers or aren't doing well, not because they're unfortunate or ignorant of what to do. If you pay attention, they do know what to do, and the actual reason they're stuck is because they don't want to put the effort in required to fix their lives, even if it's small.
I'm a loser because I don't know how to cook. I know I could learn, but it's complicated and I'm not gonna get into it. I'm very lazy. I should clean my bedroom, but I don't, and I'm not gonna show you the mess. I don't drive. My parents drive me around, because I just don't want to do it.
She spends all this time saying, I'm a loser and I have all these problems, but I don't want to fix any of them. And then the real issue is that people like her become a burden on everyone, and the things they aren't doing become other people's chores. I can't drive and don't want to learn, so I guess I'm okay with having my parents take time out of their day and forcing them to always be available so they can chauffeur me around every time I have to go to work. Obviously, her parents bear some responsibility for this because they were the ones who raised her, but my pity and sympathy go away a bit when you understand how cruel it is to expect someone to pay for your rent, pay for your food, pay your utilities, and drive you around everywhere because you want to stay in your room all day and browse the internet instead of learning how to do these things for yourself. It's not a moral position to prey on people feeling bad for you, and I'm tired of so many people doing this, especially when my tax dollars go to it.
You know, I have problems dealing with stress and anxiety, and a lot of people don't get that because they say, how can you be stressed when you're not supporting a family, or, you know, you're still with your mom and dad, and what's stressing you out? Like, you just have a part-time job as a waitress. Like, what's stressing you? There's just things. I don't know what to say. There are things that stress me out. No one would really understand unless they were in my situation.
Well, that was very non-descriptive, but the good news is that you work part-time, which means that most of your day is free. You can't spend some of that time learning how to drive to relieve that burden from your parents? It only takes a few months to get good. You can't spend 10 to 15 minutes a day cleaning your room? You can't learn how to cook one new recipe a week so that maybe by the time that you're 30, you aren't a useless person who other people have to take care of?
And I know I can change those things, but I just don't. And that's why I'm a loser. Only a loser complains about things that they want to change about themselves, but they're not willing to actually do it.
Oh, good, she's self-aware. Now, something that I've noticed with these people is that a lot of them have high self-awareness, but instead of using that to make changes, what they do is use it to placate other people who would otherwise criticize them for being unwilling to change. Most people will back off if you show them some awareness because it tricks them into thinking that you're handling your problems.
My channel is really pathetic and embarrassing too. I do not want people in real life to see my videos. I don't want to tell them I have a YouTube channel. It's called I Exist. I don't want to be jealous of people all the time, which I am. Like, what's it like to have just a really nice YouTube channel where you can just confidently tell people the name of your channel and just not be humiliated by it?
Okay, so what are you doing to turn your channel into the kind of channel that you want it to be? None of this self-reflection or self-awareness matters if you don't put in the work.
I spend way too many hours on the internet, but only on Discord and YouTube. I have my own crappy little YouTube channel. You know, it only gets a few hundred views. I don't put much effort into my videos. I can't really be bothered to.
Right, so you're doing nothing. You aren't even doing things that are easy and obvious to make your videos less embarrassing, which is to use an editing software to cut out the 3 or so minutes of this video that are dead air, or cut out repeated arguments. For all of you watching this at home, I've largely done that for her so you guys don't have to suffer through a long pause every 10 words, but I assure you, as someone who has watched the source material, it's quite annoying. But this stuff is not that hard to figure out. How about you spend 10 minutes of that time that you use bed rotting on YouTube to look up topics that people find interesting? Wait, that would be slightly difficult. Never mind, just play Fortnite instead.
I enjoy playing Fortnite. That's my favorite game. I also play Minecraft and Roblox.
Making a successful YouTube channel is not an impossible task or a thing that you can't slowly build up to over time if you put the work in. Do you not care about the people who watch these videos? It's like you want viewers, but the channel is all about your needs, not the audience.
I feel like a loser because I always need attention from people. And sometimes I have trouble sleeping at night if I didn't get enough attention during the day. That's why the internet is my best friend. I get lots of attention on there as long as I beg for it.
So this is not really about providing an interesting experience for the audience. YouTube is just basically a public therapy session for you, which is a mistake that a lot of small YouTubers make. And another big problem I have with this whole I'm a loser trend is that these people are essentially getting rewarded with attention and possibly money for telling viewers to pity them. I mean, this one got her over 1 million views on a channel that was previously not even breaking 1,000, and there are tons of comments praising her, which is what usually happens when people make this kind of content, so it just encourages them to continue being a loser, when in reality, the best thing for their mental health is for people to stop enabling them and let them fail and suffer until they get better. I think the importance of suffering is best displayed in a movie called Whiplash, where a college kid tries to become a great jazz drummer and his teacher is just incredibly abusive. Because of that, personally, I hated this movie right up until the scene where the teacher explains why he's so mean.
Truth is, I don't think people understood what it was I was doing at Schaefer. I was there to push people beyond what's expected of them. I told you that story about how Charlie Parker became Charlie Parker, right?
Yeah. Joe Jones threw a symbol at his head.
Exactly. Parker's a young kid, pretty good on the sax, gets up to play at a cutting session, and he fucks it up, and he's laughed off stage. Cries himself to sleep that night, but the next morning, what does he do? He practices. A year later, he goes back to the Reno, and he steps up on that stage, and he plays the best motherfucking solo the world has ever heard.
While I don't agree with the incredibly abusive behavior shown during this movie, what he's saying is absolutely right. Suffering and failure are a catalyst for success. But the problem with people like the I Exist girl is that everyone in their life prevents them from experiencing failure because they feel bad for them. So then you get a person who is approaching 30 with the skill set and maturity of a 12-year-old. Nothing improves a person like having their self-concept destroyed by getting fired from a job or experiencing a harsh breakup or failing to achieve a dream. These moments are painful, but they're pivotal for motivation and development. There are some things that can only be learned through intense suffering, and I think people like the I Exist girl don't develop into good and successful people because everyone just shelters them from loss or tries to make them feel better when they should be learning how to cope with and move past their misery on their own. They have all these high hopes and dreams, but they don't understand that the people who actually achieve the things they want put themselves through a lot of pain, and they don't give up.
But is there a line? You know, maybe you go too far and you discourage the next Charlie Parker from ever becoming Charlie Parker?
No, man, no. Because the next Charlie Parker would never be discouraged.
Yeah.
Right, she wants to be a YouTuber, and the truth is that most people who start out a channel are embarrassed to show it, and everyone in their lives tells them to quit and get a real job. But if they're really made for this, they'll take all that negative feedback, give those people the middle finger, get their ass to work, and keep trying new things until they're successful. People who are motivated don't get discouraged by hard work and negative feedback, and I think the only time it's appropriate to be kind to the ones who are stuck in the loser cycle is if they start self-improving. Up until that point, the cruelest thing that you can do is be nice to them.
So yeah, that concludes today's video. Feel free to comment if you're a loser or not, and if so, what makes you a loser? Or if you're not a loser, please tell me what you're doing right in life. I'm just curious.
You already know what to do. You listed out like 5 important things in your video that you could work on. You're just refusing to do them, and for me, after seeing many of these types of videos, it's not shocking to hear someone describe exactly what their problem is, but take no action on it. That's actually very common. And what these people are often missing is the initiative to just start doing something. They have all these ideas of what they want, but they don't put any mental energy into taking steps towards their goal, so it seems like this massive, unachievable task. And that causes them to miss the simple changes they can make right now that will make the more difficult ones seem easier later. It's pretty easy to download DaVinci Resolve and cut out all the dead air in your videos. It's easy to write notes on a whiteboard and stick it behind your camera so you don't forget what to say. And when you do that, organizing those ideas into an order that would make your video more engaging becomes a lot more apparent. When you start putting in the mental work to learn a new skill or into fixing yourself, certain things will become obvious. And from the outside looking in, what's obvious to me is that this girl's core issue is anxiety. Well, it's not that hard to notice because she flat out says it.
Anxiety rules my life. It really does.
As I said, it's not like she doesn't know what her problem is, but I don't think she understands the extent that her anxiety affects her. For example,
I also wish I was smart. I'm a very stupid person. Sometimes when people talk to me, I just don't even understand what they're saying. And I know it sounds crazy, but I don't know if it's because of the way they like word things, like maybe I just like interpret it differently than what they meant, or I sometimes just find it hard to have conversations with people because I don't really have much to contribute to it because I'm just not, I feel like I'm not very educated, if I'm being honest. I don't feel smart. I just feel like sometimes I just don't have things to say.
It's not that you're stupid. I don't think she's stupid. I think what's occurring here is that she's so nervous to talk to people and her mind is so focused on every possible negative outcome of the conversation that she has no mental capacity to pay attention to the person who's talking or focus on what to say when it's her turn to speak. A part of fixing anxiety is to learn how to turn off intrusive thoughts so you can accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. And the answer to that is just meditation practice for like 10 minutes a day where you learn how to focus on a singular task. Then you use that meditation practice to learn how to shift your attention away from unwanted thoughts so you can focus on what you're supposed to be doing. Of course, you have to practice with things that actually trigger your anxiety, which for her, shouldn't be that hard because it seems like everything does that.
I feel like such a loser. I used to have a job before. I worked at that same job for 9 years. And the only reason why I stuck around for so long was because I was too scared to try anything else. To have a whole other interview, meet new people and have new responsibilities. I wanted to stay in my comfort zone.
I mean, this one is not that uncommon, actually. Most people kind of just stick with what they're used to because they're afraid of change. Honestly, if people spent some time thinking about it, I think they would find that tons of their choices and behaviors are governed by anxiety, even stuff that's smaller and even stuff that's less obvious than looking for a new job. However, in this girl's case, I don't think meditation practice by itself is enough. Based on other videos of hers that I've watched, she has more serious issues to deal with than a little bit of fear. Most of that appears to be related to her intense Catholic upbringing and a hyper-focus on religious rituals.
I developed a very intense fear of hell, and it kind of took over my life. I remember having to say a lot of prayers as a kid. Every morning we would say prayers together as a family, and every night we would say prayers, a longer list of prayers. And looking back, I didn't really even understand what the prayers meant. I was only saying the prayers because I didn't want to go to hell. I was told I have to pray every day or I will go to hell. We would say, Hail Mary, Our Father. We would pray to St. Michael the Archangel. Oh my God, I would pray to St. Michael the Archangel multiple times a day because he is our defender. And I used to think that St. Michael would be flying around me, protecting me. And if I didn't pray to him, he wasn't going to be there. And there was going to be demons that are attacking me. I was praying out of fear.
This is actually a specific form of OCD related to religious practices. There's a whole episode of We're All Insane that talks about it. But it seems like her parents and religious community fear-mongered her as a kid with the idea of going to hell and the idea of eternal suffering. So now obviously she wants to avoid any suffering as an adult because that's what she was taught to do as a kid, and that's probably why she grew up useless, because suffering and embarrassment are a crucial part of development. If you watch this video, you can see that she very much still holds these religious beliefs, at least subconsciously, and I think that until she reforms her self-concept around religion, she will continue to have anxiety issues. But more importantly, where is the initiative to make a change? It's not impossible to work on this stuff, and like I said, it's frustrating to watch people like this not improve year after year, and it's aggravating when they expect everyone else to pick up their dead weight. And well, I have to say that I watched this girl's video pretty close to the time that it was released and ignored it, despite people telling me to talk about it, because really I saw no difference between her story and the number of others that I've already covered. However, it's been over a year and a half, and to my surprise and deep respect, she's one of the few of these people who has actually started making changes.
I know my mental health hasn't been good and I feel like I could use extra help. Anyway, I'm on this journey right now. I've put myself on this journey of recovery. It started with therapy. I've been to 11 therapy sessions. I've been going once a week for a few months now, and it's been helping a little bit. But obviously I need more help, and that's why I signed up for psychiatry a few days ago. Today was my first appointment.
So apparently, despite not doing that much, she did have a sizable savings, and I believe around a year after the loser video was made, she decided to use that money to go to a therapist and a psychiatrist to start treating her anxiety issues. Because of this, she now is actually doing some of the things that she said she was going to do.
I'm trying to get out. I'm trying to put myself in situations where I have to talk to people, where I have to be around people. I've been practicing driving and it's really hard for me. I'm really bad at driving because of my anxiety. It makes it hard for me to even focus in the car. So yeah, I've been practicing with that. I don't want to give up.
She's also in a real-life relationship now, not just an online one, and she's pushed herself to leave her house to start traveling.
And I went on that trip to California, and then I went on the trip to Texas. I got on the plane all by myself, and I was doing these things to get learning experiences in life and just make improvements.
Currently, she's moved out of her parents' house in Pennsylvania and is now living in Southern California. But you have to ask, what caused the change?
I need relief. I have been under so much stress and pressure. Oh my gosh, I feel so weird talking about all this on YouTube. Everything changed so fast. Literally I feel like it was months ago, I made that YouTube video where I was talking about how I'm a virgin, I'm a failure at life and all this and that. And then I think that was a wake-up call for me. I was like, I'm falling behind and I'm not happy about it, so I'm gonna make a change. And so I started taking risks. I started going out more and talking to people, and I have social anxiety, so it's really, really hard for me.
Imagine that. Suffering caused her to change. Her life had to get so unbearable that it overruled her lack of initiative. Not to say that she's perfect now and everything is better. Clearly, she still has stuff to work on. But at least now, a year and a half later, she's out there living a life instead of just existing in her bedroom. The suffering actually caused her to go to therapy to figure out why she's such a loser.
The biggest thing that hurts is when people call me lazy, because they don't understand. I have a mental illness that causes avoidance behavior, and it restricts me from doing things that I need to do. I almost feel like it's not my choice to want to stay home and hide in my room. In fact, it's kind of torture, and I kind of want to be out and working and doing things.
I'm actually going to accept this statement. I wouldn't have accepted it before she started showing improvement, but it makes sense. And now that she has what I believe is a very accurate sense of her core issue, hopefully she can use that to maintain the mentality towards change and self-improvement that she's developed recently. And understand that as much as I hate the loser meta, I do have a deep respect for the people who make an effort to improve their lives, because so few of them do it. But also understand that real change requires that you maintain positive behaviors for years, not just a few weeks or a few months. Most of the stuff that you want to do is not that complicated. It just takes consistent practice for a long time. Anyway, thanks for watching. Follow me on Twitter, and I'll see you in the next video.